Tom Hardy is one of those actors where the performance never seems to fully end. That is what makes him brilliant, and maybe that is also what makes him complicated. There is a clip of him on Jonathan Ross where even Ross seems slightly confused by his voice.
Where are you from, Tom? Where's your accent? Because your accent's quite hard to place, stuff like that.
It is. I'm from a state of grace called Mortlake in suburbia, East Sheen, SW14.
So it's kind of South London, but
not really sort of cool South London.
So it's a posher part of South London?
Yeah.
Okay. But you've got a London accent, but it doesn't sound South and sound East.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a mongrel actually, because I pick up accents and sometimes I don't know how I'm going to sound until I start speaking.
Hardy is sitting there with this strange mixed-up accent, half actor, half geezer, half modern South London roadman before that term even fully settled into the culture. He's charming, funny, awkward, intense, and weirdly slippery. You can see why casting directors love him. You can also see why people might eventually find him exhausting. The funny thing is, that was not even the first time we saw this shape-shifting version of Tom Hardy. Before he was Bane, before Bronson, before Peaky Blinders, before Venom, he was a 20-year-old drama student on The Big Breakfast in 1998.
Our last male finalist is from the London Heat. Will you please welcome Tom Hardy? Tom is a 20-year-old Virgo. He's a drama student in London and says his acting heroes are Gary Oldman and Stephen Burkoff. Tom would like to write and direct his own short films, and he says he loves Eddie Izzard but hates football.
That's right.
OK.
The old footage is bizarre because he already feels like a character. The profile is almost painfully 90s, young drama student, cheeky attitude, performative confidence, trying on a version of masculinity that feels part Cockney lad, part fashion kid, part actor auditioning for life itself. That is the thing with Hardy. He absorbs whatever room he is in. He's like a sponge. Put him near London gangster energy, he becomes that. Put him in an American outlaw movie, he becomes that. Put him in a superhero film, he invents a voice that sounds like a Victorian strongman trapped in a gas mask. Put him in Taboo and suddenly he is grunting through the fog like a haunted bear. That is why he is such a great character actor. He does not just play roles, he seems to let them invade him. But that gift can become dangerous when the actor cannot always wash it off.
It's the most fun I've had with a character I probably will ever have. And the movie itself, I think, is far exceeding my expectations. It's looking, well, I haven't seen anything, but from what I feel and what I've heard, I think it's gonna be a really fun movie to watch. It was an exhausting process. Like, I actually had quite a bit of time off in between scenes, but you know, like weeks sometimes. But it was required because whenever I was working, and it exhausted me to the bone. At the end of the day, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I was just absolutely wrecked. And if I had to do that every day, I couldn't have done what I did. I would have had to have done a milder version of it.
Now, to be clear, there is no solid proof that playing the Joker caused Ledger's death. That story has been mythologized far beyond what we can responsibly say. But the reason people keep bringing him up is because audiences understand the basic fear. Some actors go so deep into darkness that viewers start wondering if they can climb back out. Hardy has always carried a bit of that danger around him. His performances feel physical, emotional, animalistic. Even when he is being funny, there is this edge under it. That is part of the appeal. He is one of the few modern actors who can make mumbling feel like a threat. But the same intensity that makes him magnetic on screen can become a problem if it follows him into ordinary working life.
I have a question for Tom Hardy. Tom, I'll preface my remarks by saying that I have 5 sisters, a wife, a daughter, and a mother, so I know what it's like to be outgunned by estrogen. But I just wanted to ask you, as you were reading the script, did you ever think, why are all these women in here? I thought this was supposed to be a man's movie.
No. Not for 1 minute.
Good for you.
I mean, that's kind of obvious. But like, but also in reference to the concept of having a script, that would have been nice as well. So that was also that was more of a concern to me. Yeah, that was a luxury we didn't have.
On Lawless, Hardy and Shia became part of one of those strange Hollywood myths where nobody can fully tell whether they were fighting, wrestling, joking, acting, or all of it at once. Shia later said the story about knocking Hardy out was exaggerated, but he also described Hardy as intimidating and said he was the actor he was most scared of on that set. And really, if Shia LaBeouf finds you unsettling, that says something. Shia is already one of Hollywood's great chaos magnets. So the idea of him looking at Tom Hardy like, this bloke might actually be mad, almost becomes comedy on its own. But it also feeds into the bigger pattern. Hardy has this reputation as a brilliant actor whose intensity can spill over. Fury Road stories have followed him for years. Charlize Theron and Hardy clashed badly during that production, and later accounts described a tense, uncomfortable set.
Hi, this is Michelle from New York, and my question's for Zoe.
What up, Michelle?
Hi. Did you witness any beef between Charlize and Tom Hardy on the set of Mad Max?
Huh. Yeah.
They were. I mean, it was reported that they didn't get along.
Yeah, they didn't get along.
Yeah.
They didn't get along.
What
And
was
we were
the
also in the
issue?
desert for so long.
Right.
I think everyone was tired and confused and homesick, and we saw nothing but sand for 6 months. It's just, you go crazy.
Hardy later acknowledged he was overwhelmed and apologized for parts of his behavior. So when news stories emerge about problems on MobLand, people do not treat them as totally random. They connect them to the older image of Hardy as a man who can be incredible on camera and difficult around it. And now we have the MobLand reports. According to People and Entertainment Weekly, Hardy is reportedly not returning for a potential 3rd season after alleged clashes behind the scenes. The reports mention tension with producers, alleged lateness, script disagreements, and frustration around the show becoming more of an ensemble piece with Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan rather than staying heavily centered on Hardy's character, Harry D'Souza. Some outlets describe it as him being fired. Others are more careful and say his future is uncertain or unresolved. The Helen Mirren part is where the story gets delicate. Reports claim there was tension between Hardy and Mirren on set, especially around alleged lateness and behavior that frustrated her. But Mirren also appeared to push back against the feud narrative publicly, praising Hardy's brilliance, dedication, good heart, and even joking about Hardy hugs while criticizing bad journalism. There's also a political theory floating around TikTok and Reddit that Hardy's alleged MobLand exit was simply down to a clash of politics. Hardy signed the artist's forced ceasefire letter calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, while Mirren has long been publicly supportive of Israel's existence and has spoken against cultural boycotts of Israel.
So Tom Hardy got fired because he was late, or is it because he's a pro-Pally and she's a pro-Izzy? Isn't real. Oh yeah, she's all over the headlines trashing him. And an insider says that Mirren expects better and, quote, holds people to a higher standard. That's rich, coming from somebody who criticizes people who boycott Isn't Real. Longtime supporter, Kibbutz Life, been supporting since 1967. And guess who boycotted? Tom Hardy. He signed the letter by Artists for Ceasefire. There's his name right there, along with a lot of celebrities who called for ceasefire. And you don't have to believe me, I've only worked in the industry and known people in the industry for 20 years. Trashing him and saying, quote, I refuse to waste another 12-hour day waiting for his arrival. Oh, and not to mention this ex-post by Scott Jonesy. He says, MobLand Season 2 was majority filmed by me. Tom Hardy was on set early doors, asked the moms who were doing school drop-offs, and often late into the evening. I spoke to scores of crew, some main actors, and a handful of extras, some of whom I'm still in contact with. There was never even a hint of this being an unhappy set. This seems very odd. And what is he saying is odd? That Tom Hardy has been fired from MobLand and won't return for season 3, and that he allegedly clashed with producers and with Helen, and that he was late, etc., etc. Again, you don't have to believe me, but my personal experience with celebrities and the industry is that there are celebrities who are late all the time. That's not really a reason they get fired. Remember when she said, I believe in Isn't Real? In the existence of Isn't Real, and I believe Isn't Real has to go forward into the future for the rest of eternity. So Helen, the A-lister, wants to hold people to a high standard. I don't know about you, but this is holding people to a high standard, because doing better and being better is believing that human rights are for all of us. Sources say that the actor allegedly enraged Helen Mirren with his on-set behavior. I beg to differ. He probably enraged you with other things.
But this is where we have to be careful. The actual trade reports around MobLand point to alleged production issues, lateness, clashes with producers, script disagreements, and frustration over the show becoming more ensemble-led. So the political theory is worth mentioning because people are talking about it, but right now it should be treated as speculation.
Tom Hardy is the lead of the show. In what world where she gave him an ultimatum, was like, I want him fired, I want him gone, would they side with her instead? Don't get me wrong, like Helen Mirren's a phenomenal actress, but in what world does Helen Mirren have more audience pull than Tom Hardy, who was the star of Venom? And at the end of the day, all the studio cares about is people watching their shit. All they care about is the numbers. And if it's a numbers game, the numbers make more sense with Tom. So riddle me this, using common sense, which is more likely, that he got fired for these invisible politics that you made up in conversations that you think he had in secret that could have possibly happened, that would have influenced her to use her poll, this poll that you made up, right, to get him fired? Or is it possible that he got fired for exhibiting behaviors that he has a history of exhibiting? Like, which is more likely? The man who has a history of being a bully and being aggressive and combative and insubordinate was again aggressive, a bully, and insubordinate? Or that same exact man suddenly have a change of heart, is an amazing person, is an advocate, and cares about people's rights so much that they had to make him a martyr for that?
So it's probably too simple to say Tom Hardy and Helen Mirren had some dramatic personal beef. The more interesting version is that Hardy's whole creative style may have finally hit the wall of a professional TV machine. Everyone has call times. Scripts need to be locked. Producers need the machine to move. Co-stars like Mirren and Brosnan are not there to orbit somebody else's mystique. That is where the sponge thing comes back. Hardy's talent is that he absorbs the world around him and turns it into character. But if you keep absorbing criminality, menace, swagger, violence, wounded masculinity, and London hard man mythology, there has to be a point where people wonder where the role ends. That does not mean Hardy is fake. It may be the opposite. He might be too open to influence. He picks up voices, energies, rhythms, moods. He walks into a room and starts reshaping himself around it. That is why the old Big Breakfast clip feels connected to the Jonathan Ross accent, and that feels connected to Bronson, and that feels connected to Peaky Blinders, and that now feels connected to MobLand. Different decades, different settings, same strange quality. Tom Hardy is always becoming something. And maybe that is the whole story. Tom Hardy has built a career out of losing himself. For years, that made him one of the most exciting actors in the world. But if these MobLand reports are true, the same thing that made him great may now be causing problems.